So I've done 2 of the 3 to 4 part series that I plan on doing. I've already talked to sellers, posted a video about sellers, posted a video to buyers, kind of giving my thoughts on what's going on and how they should prepare themselves moving forward, things to think about. I wanted to do one more to my fellow agents. Of course, the big news in our industry, of course, is that NAR Settlement and the changes that are on the horizon for us. In my opinion, the changes aren't that significant. It's our practice and principle, but the perception that's created by the lawsuit and the ridiculous news coverage, I think it'll probably have the bigger effect on how we operate, mainly because now we're going to be fighting against a narrative that is out there. Well, it's always kind of been out there, but it's blown up and basically been given fuel to buy the lawsuit. I think this actually could work to our favor, and if you stick to the end, I'll give my opinion on why I say what I say. From this point forward, I'm making a decision and encouraging all of the agents to engage in these conversations with sellers and buyers from a problem solver position. I'm making up in my mind right now, don't be offended by people's questions or their desire to save money or their skepticism about what we do. Unfortunately, we kind of operate behind a veil, mainly to protect them as buyers and sellers in a way, but unfortunately that veil creates some curiosity, which may lead to some skepticism and questions. So I'm just encouraging people to engage in those and not be worried about if people are critical or whatever. Just understand that people don't understand. That's going to be my thought process. This awakening is probably on us collectively to take responsibility for. And I say that in this way is people just don't have an idea of the process of buying and selling a house. They have no idea. Until they do it on their own, and they try to do it on their own, a lot of times our value may not be recognized. And when we don't do a good job of explaining it all, which is hard to do, it's hard to explain it all. When we don't do a good job of that, we leave ourselves susceptible to this criticism and things like that. But as far as contract-wise, one thing that, and shout out to Alicia Yoder, when I first started as an agent, I called her, we went to high school together, and I said, hey, what's something that what would you suggest, for me as a new agent? And she said, study a contract. Study it, get an understanding of it, make sure you're clear. That way you can clearly communicate what's going on in the contract to your buyer or seller. I'll never forget that. I greatly appreciate it because when I go through these contracts with my buyers and sellers, I'm able to give a clear rationale for what decision they should be making. I give my suggestion, and if they have questions about it or want to make a different decision, I can either give more perspective, give more clarity to the contract, as the real estate teacher taught me in real estate school. So I think it's incumbent upon us, just to take responsibility. Yes, we can defend ourselves because, some of these things that are being placed on us is just ridiculous. Some people will say, oh, you don't really do anything. They just sit back and make a bunch of money, not realizing everything that's going on. So it's just probably a fine time for us to learn the people, to let them, see and understand all the things that we do. And it may take us having to itemize everything that we do as agents so people can be clear on that. And the more transparency that we have, the better. Even though the MLS transparency issue, I think that's a problem in itself in the long run. I don't think a lot of people will understand the ramifications of this, and if they start changing the way we do things, if it's selling decide, hey, I'm not going to pay a buyer's agent, I think it's going to be upon us to make sure that we're clearly communicating why it is that we do the things the way we do and how it's going to be beneficial for them in the long run. We actually have a great opportunity to prove our value in this time period. now I for one, I'm going to be experiencing a big change in this because I don't have buyer's rep agreements signed. I know a lot of agents that don't. I've just always been the type, if somebody wants to move on, they can move on. I'm on the contract, and at closing, I think if I've done an excellent job, I'll get paid. Most people ask me, hey, buyers ask me, do we owe you anything? It's this time, and I'm able to explain to them the normal process, and when who can expect to pay me, and what would happen if the seller or somebody didn't offer payment to me. Like, I've had plenty of those conversations before, so I've never really been concerned about the buyer's rep agreements. I do understand if some people, I just had a situation recently where somebody was showing a buyer that came to me later on, and I had no idea. They had told me that they weren't looking before, and they didn't have any buyer rep agreements signed, and all of a sudden these people came to me, and then I ended up working with them. And it's happened vice versa. I've had people that wanted to come to me and didn't know that they signed a buyer's rep agreement until we got into a lengthier conversation. And again, that's a problem for us, like having to explain these things and be clear that people have a clear understanding before they sign anything. So all of these things, there's going to be a big change for me because I'm going to have to get these buyer's rep agreements signed. But I'd like to know your thoughts. Like, have you used the buyer's rep agreements in the past, and what are your thoughts on those? But like I said, I haven't used them, but I definitely see the benefit of them to bring clarity to everything that's going on and set more clear expectations. I don't have a problem with them at all. I just it's always weird for me to present them with something saying, hey, you got to pay me, even though they at the moment they don't have any house in front of them to even like attach that potential payment to. Like, they don't know if they're going to go through with it. They don't know if they're actually going to receive a house. None of those things. But here I am saying, hey, this agreement, which all of it is just clarity. But the main thing they're going to see is, if the seller doesn't pay me, then you're going to need to pay me. And that can definitely throw people off. I had a cousin that got halfway through closing before his agent gave him the buyer rep agreement, and he called me. And he lives in another area in Texas that I don't serve. And he said, man, I don't feel comfortable signing this. It's saying if the seller doesn't pay them, then I'm going to have to turn around and pay them. I've already committed lots of money to this purchase with the down payment and closing costs. So, those things can really spook buyers, and we understand how that works. So I typically haven't used them in the past, but I guess I'm not going to have a choice moving forward. The big question I have is, at what point do you present the agreement? Like, when is the good time to present the agreement? I know that with the information about brokerage services, that's supposed to be presented upon the first substantive conversation. So that's supposed to be presented quickly. But do you have to present the buyer's rep agreement as soon as you show a house, or at what point does this relationship need ink in order to move forward? So that's a big question that I have up front. Also, I saw in the email from NAR that dues won't go up for 2024. But what do y'all think? Do you think that they're going to go up in the years after? $418 million over 4 years, a lot more money to pay out than they probably, I'm sure they had budgeted for. And again, like I said, I actually see this as a great opportunity if we can collectively learn these contracts and agreements, and explain these clearly and concisely to buyers and sellers and homeowners. We actually have a great opportunity to prove our wealth and our worth and our value, not our wealth, our worth and our value, and hopefully become more wealthy while helping other people become more wealthy, whether that's with, of course, the sale or the equity in the home or something like that. But we really do have a great opportunity to kind of rewrite a narrative as we're watching things unfold and seeing how sellers react and trying to save money, but maybe hitting some walls in their attempt potentially losing money. I'm anxious to see how the data shows up later on after July if this thing gets approved. But in all of that, anytime people make money, it's because they're solving a problem. And I think we have a great opportunity to solve a problem here. There's going to be some shakeup. There's going to be some people that don't like things. There's going to be some uncomfortable conversations. But I'm planning to lean into those conversations, to engage in them, and see what happens on the other side of it. I think it's a potential great opportunity, and I want to encourage you as well. But I really want to hear your thoughts on this. If you have concerns, if you have questions, if you have comments, what are you hearing and seeing on the news? I'm seeing people talk about like, hey, 5 and 6% commission. It's probably going to be gone after July. Things could be really changing. I don't really see it. What are your thoughts? Do you think we're going to see a big change? All that information, I want to hear from you. So thank you for watching this long, and I hope you found something of value out of it. I hope we get a chance to continue having this conversation and figure out how we can serve the people in our area better and better. All right. Look forward to hearing from y'all. Thanks.